Hey folks, Nick here from Another BookTube channel. Today with my October wrap-up. I felt like I had hit a little bit of a slump this month, honestly. It took me a while to get through some books that probably shouldn't have taken me as long. But I was able to read, let's see, one, two, three, four, five, six, 7 books. However, I was able to do that by reading some shorter ones. So kind of cheated a little bit to get that number higher. Well, I mean, I didn't do it to get that number higher specifically. Um, I knew that I was in a slump, so I avoided longer books if I could. That being said, it was a fun reading month. I think I enjoyed pretty much everything that I did read, and I tried to stick to kind of spooky things because it's October, so I tried to stick to horror where I could. I finally read some books that were on my TBR for a little while, which was great. Um, and I'll start with one of those. I'll start talking about that. I read it on my Kindle, so I don't have a copy to show you, but The Case Against Satan by Ray Russell. I had heard about this as an Exorcist book before The Exorcist book was written, and I really enjoyed it. It is written, I think, like 10 years or so before William Peter Blatty's The Exorcist. The Case Against Satan is about another young girl that is showing signs of demonic possession. Her name is Susan Garth, I think. Um, she's 16 years old, and it's. I try not to like compare it to The Exorcist because it's not really fair, but it's very different from The Exorcist in that I feel like in this one the religious like the priest and the bishop are a lot easier to like convince about this than in The Exorcist. Where in The Exorcist, there's like the frightening stuff about that book is exhausting every legitimate option of like taking them to psychiatrists, taking them to medical doctors, and then them just throwing up their hands and being like, "Try an exorcist," you know. Whereas in this one, and then even then, the priests are like, "This isn't like we don't do this anymore. Like this is a hard sell." Whereas in this one, the priests are just like, "We should probably do an exorcism. That sounds like fun." um, but it's an interesting read. It's not nearly as detailed, I would say, as like The Exorcist, but it still has a really solid foundation. The main priest, whose name I've forgotten, sorry, has again similar to The Exorcist, a crisis of faith that is put to the test through the process of the exorcism. Um, and you see a lot of those kind of tropes that are getting established that William Peter Blatty would really make famous in his book. So a neat horror book from the '60s that I think still holds up really pretty well. I enjoyed that one quite a bit. Um, Next up on my Kindle, I read the novelization of The Thing by Alan Dean Foster, and I'll be posting a full review of this one on the channel soon. I'm a huge fan of John Carpenter's The Thing, the movie, so I had to read the novelization when I found out that there was one. And I won't go too much into it, but I think it does the film justice in prose form. It's certainly missing a few things, but it also adds some depth to the movie that maybe was missing. And I think it's well worth reading if you can find it. It's a very hard book to get a hold of. I had to just get an ebook of it. But yeah, look forward to my full review of that one coming soon. Next up, I just finished this morning. Actually, no, I finished it last night, and I woke up this morning thinking about it because it really stuck with me. Birdman by Mo Hader. This is maybe the most disturbing book I've ever read. I don't read I read a lot of horror, but I don't read a lot of stuff that really gets under my skin and deals with topics that are just gross to me. But this one not only does that a lot, but manages to make it really readable and still great. Like, I thought this book was fantastic. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to do a full review of it. I might try. Uh, I just have to get my thoughts in order about it. But uh, this is a detective story of just trying to track a serial killer, kind of thinking like Silence of the Lambs or the Hannibal books, except I think this is better than those personally, where Detective Jack Caffrey is our main character who's hunting the serial killer, who is being referred to colloquially as Birdman in the police department because, and this is just the tip of the iceberg of how graphic and violent this book can get. He's uh, killing and mutilating prostitutes, and as like a, well, I'm not going to tell why, but as part of it, he puts a live bird inside their chest cavity, and that's like how they're able to, like, that's his calling card. Um, so it's really messed up, and there's a lot of uh, things to be mindful of if you're triggered by sexual violence, intense misogyny. I honestly, I read this and I looked up Mo Hader. I was very surprised to find that Mo Hader was a woman. It's a pseudonym, it's a pen name. Because if it was a man, I feel like people would be furious that, like, oh, of course a man would write something like this, but no, it was a woman that wrote it, which makes it okay. I guess, I don't know. But yeah, it is a very disturbing book, and I highly recommend it because it was really, really just a well plotted mystery that was consistently uh, unpredictable, but also when things would get revealed, it never felt cheap ever or cheated because all of the clues are there, and then once it's revealed, it's like, oh yeah, we did get a note of that, we did get that clue. So great mystery, really good book. Speaking of mystery, another book, Mystery Walk by Robert McCammon. I did post a full review of this one on the channel, so I'll just say go and check that out if you want my full thoughts about it. But Robert McCammon, I've been reading a lot of him this year. He's really great. I've been really enjoying pretty much everything I've read from him. So this is just another one on that list that I really, really enjoyed. That explores religion in an interesting way. I'm always a sucker for religious fiction, religious horror fiction that kind of has clever things to say without being overtly like anti-religion. It just provides fuel for the conversation about it, which I always enjoy. Um, Next up, this is another one. I think I've got a video coming on these. I'll do two at once. The first two Buffy the Vampire Slayer novels. That's the Harvest and Halloween Rain. They well, the Harvest was not so good, and Halloween Rain was better, but still, just kind of okay. I will say, please, if you're interested in Buffy and these books, keep an eye out for that video that's coming very soon. Um, to Because I'm going to be starting this journey into the Buffy novels. I have a bunch of them to read. This is my starting point. This is just getting the ball rolling. And they're like, I think these are like YA books. You can see they're very short. The font's kind of big. So they were not the strongest start, but I am still very excited to continue with the Buffy series after this. And then the last book that I read this month, well, potentially the last book, because I am currently reading one, which I'll show you, that I might be able to finish before the end of the month. But The Sunlit Man by Brandon Sanderson. This is the last of his secret projects from his Kickstarter, The Year of Sanderson. It's over. It ended with this. And this was a pretty good book. I'm not going to go do any plot details about this in case you don't want to be spoiled and you care. I posted a short review of this because I honestly didn't have a ton to say about it, and I still don't. I think that this book was fine. Um, and I think it's, it's fun for Cosmere fans, but it's definitely, in my opinion, not Sanderson's strongest Cosmere book, though it's got a lot of really cool stuff in it. And the book itself is a great package. It looks awesome. Posted an unboxing of this if you want to see more about what came in the swag box. So yeah, that's those are the books that I finished. I'm also currently reading this Great Ghost Stories Dover Thrift Edition. That I just started it honestly a few minutes ago, but it's less than 100 pages, so I might be able to finish this before the end of the month, which is tomorrow while I'm filming this. So maybe I'll be able to get that in as well. But yeah, that's my wrap up for October. Let me know if you've read any of the books that I talked about today and your thoughts about them in the comments below. Thank you for spending some time with me today, but now it's time to get back to reading.